You're listening to the Talking 20 podcast. This podcast is for you if you're in your 20s and you're thinking, what the hell am I doing? We've all been there and we want to talk about it. We're your hosts, Bridget O'Rourke and Mary-Margaret Courtney, and we sit down with fellow millennials to chat about their journey and hear what they've learned along the way. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Talking 20 podcast. Mary and I are clearly trying to sell our mugs right now, if you haven't noticed from all of our Facebook and Instagram shenanigans. We're having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, Mary's not drinking out of hers right now. So the perfect time to actually, talk about them and use them, she's not using it. So clearly she's a traitor. Anyway.
I'm a traitor.
You're a traitor. She said it. You heard it here first, folks. This is another episode of the Talking 20 podcast, a pre-release chat. I messed that up totally, but whatever. This is our pre-release chat where we talk about what's coming up next week on the podcast, what we've been doing in our lives recently. There's been a lot going on in Mary and my life over the past week. We have some exciting things to talk about. But first, we're going to dive into our episode next week and buckle up because our guest next week is one of the most amazing, inspiring, phenomenal women I've ever met in my life. The most amazing human. I met her back in Frosh Week at Radio and Television Arts at Ryerson University. She was in my Frost group. Her name is Taylor Lindsay Noel, and some people may have heard of her because she is a public figure now. Some of you may not have heard of her, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about her story. So Taylor was training to be in the 2012 Olympics when she was 14 years old. She had been training as a gymnast since she was 4 years old, so 10 years of high-intensity training. She talks about it in our episode next week. You know, going before school, she would go and train. She would go after school and go and train, and then she went to piano lessons, which is crazy, but that's a whole other thing. And while she was training for the 2012 Olympics, her coach wanted her to do a move, which at this point, actually, since then, it has never been completed. And at this time, Taylor was putting her full trust in her coach. You know, you assume as an authority figure that you see every day, this person has your best interest in mind. Taylor didn't feel comfortable doing the trick, as Mary calls it in the episode, which is just hilarious. What do you call it?
I think I said the flippity floopity.
Yeah, the double flippity backflip floopity magician at one point or something. We don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But he wanted her to do this trick. YouTube wasn't a thing, so she couldn't look it up to see, what it looked like. And she put her full trust in this coach, tried to, say, no, I don't want to do it. He told her to do it. Anyway, on her second time of doing it, she fell and she landed on her neck. And she became a quadriplegic. And I have shivers just talking about it because the way that she approaches this subject, obviously she had her battles pivoting from being a full-time gymnast,
professional athlete,
changing to being a quadriplegic and have to completely pivot her life. And the way that she's pivoted her life since then is phenomenal. Now she is a successful entrepreneur with this successful tea company that's been listed in Oprah's favorite things list. Oprah is person, one of Oprah's people contacted her company to be like, hey, Oprah wants to try your tea. Incredible. She went to school 4 years after her accident for something completely different than she was planning to do with her whole life. She wanted to be an entertainment reporter after her accident. Went to Radio and Television Arts for it. 4 years after. I didn't realize that when I met her, it had only been 4 years since the accident. So anyway, this lady is phenomenal. I've known her story for a long time. Mary, you went into the interview not having heard her story before.
Yeah.
So you kind of were a good insight for the listeners, being like, tell me everything. What's your deal? So how did you feel during the interview?
Well, we talk about it, but I was actually shocked at myself and the assumptions I made, knowing very little going into it. And then as I'm hearing her story, I'm just the assumption that she's going to struggle in a certain way, assumption that she's going to feel anger or, there's, I don't know. everyone's going to have their own experience when you hear this story. You can't have anything but like a whoa moment. And for me, I was just like, I assumed that there was going to be like way more of a hard time and way more of a struggle, but she's an athlete. She's an Olympic athlete. And we talk about that correlation as well in the episode, but she, through this injury, was able to still do what she was trained to do, which was like, you get back up on that metaphorical balance beam and you push through the pain, you push through the fear, you push through the struggle. And there's like a weird lesson to be learned in it. I maybe it's not a healthy thing, but I was just so impressed at how she has, like you said, pivoted, like her ability to move. And I'm like, man, like I need to pull up my socks, because when I have hard times and I'm like, I can't, the world's out to get me, life is over.
Yeah.
And then you hear her story and you're like, okay, that's crazy. And just
she
how open she is about everything. No topic is off the table.
No topic off the table. We talked about so much, and we'll get into that in a second, but like the way that she is like so inspiring in the way that she, you know, overcame this hurdle and the way she talks about it now, but she does talk about the bad parts of it, and, you know, some moments that she had that she just didn't want to, you know, go through with this whole pivoting thing. Like, there's just so much to it. It's so deep. And the way that she talks about it is so inspiring, but she's also very real about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And she loves herself in...
Oh my God, she loves herself in such a good way.
In such a healthy way. We were like, I want to love myself like that. Like the ability, like she wants her time on this planet to be good. She wants to make an impact. And she wants to have a good life experience. And so even with something so tragic happening to her, she could hold so much anger and resentment for this man. And as we're going to get into, in the world of gymnastics, like the Me Too movement is strong. And it's like people are coming out about their stories. And like you said, it's multi-layered and there's so much to her story. But if you even just look at like her gymnast story, that's multi-layered, and she talks about the trauma of those young formative years as a young girl and what she went through. She could be such an angry person right now.
She could be, and it would be so validated.
And she's just like, no, I'm gonna make a tea company and I want to be a public figure and I want to talk to whoever. Like, she's so nice. She's so, just the best case scenario for the worst, one of the worst things that could happen to you.
Yeah. And something that I liked that we did in this episode was we didn't really talk about her accident too much. And that was a conscious decision. You know, we went into it being like, okay, there are Taylor's on tons of podcasts where she talks about her accident, what happened before her accident, what happened after her accident, all of that stuff. So we were like, no, this is Talking 20. We want to talk about, okay, what are the differences now that you're in your 20s that you have to consider because you're quadriplegic? So, but if the listeners, I'm sure you're very intrigued about her story, as Mary and I were, and Taylor actually has this podcast called Tea Time with Tay. Brilliant name, especially that she has a tea company. And in her first episode, she introduces herself and she goes all in depth about her story. And the power and the emotion. I actually have goosebumps right now talking about it. The power and emotion that she portrays in this episode. And she tells you about all of the things that you would want to know about. Like all of the things that you would ask about, you know? You listened to it for the first time last night too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or this morning.
I didn't get through the whole thing yet, but same thing. I had moments where I stopped and I was rewinding it because I like the way she can recall the story. She's obviously had to tell it so many times, but I want to ask her, did you write this down and recite it because of how well articulated? And she pulls out the emotion. Obviously she was there, but it just gives me chills to hear. I don't know why she's not angry. Like, that's my thing. I'm like, this person, like, it's just, I am almost speechless at it. Yeah.
To give you guys a little bit of a teaser of why you should go and listen to Taylor's episode before you listen to the episode that we have with her next week, because we don't touch on the accident very much. You're going to be listening to it. You're going to be like, I want to hear about the accident. So we're going to give you a little sneak peek of this episode that she does. Sorry, we're going to give you a sneak peek of her first podcast episode so that you can, get a feel for how emotional it is, and hopefully it'll intrigue you to go and listen beforehand. So I'm going to do that right now, Mare. I can do that in this funky, cool thing that we have that we record on. So I'm going to play it.
And I took a deep breath. And as I've done many times in the past when you have a fall, I tried to get up. So I jerked my body forward to try to get up, so stand up so I can go watch it and deal with my angry coach. But nothing moved. Winded still, I took a deep breath and tried again. So I jerked myself, and what I thought was jerking myself to stand up, because I thought I was just very winded from like having whiplash or something. And nothing moved. That's when my coach yelled and said, Taylor, are you okay? Get up. And I just kind of whispered back and said, I can't get up. And then I said it again. I can't get up. I can't get up. I can't get up. I can't get up. And he's like, what do you mean you can't get up? I'm like, my body is not moving. I just felt this great sense of tiredness hit me. It was almost, at the time, it felt like I was just sleeping. But what I didn't know was that I was very close to dying. It was this tiredness feeling that I just needed to close my eyes. And every single time I would go to close my eyes and just be at peace, the paramedics would yell at me and say, Taylor, please don't go to sleep. Please just stay awake. And I couldn't understand why. I'm like, why can't I just take a nap? Like, you heard that I just fell. I've been training. I'm very tired. Let me sleep. And all this chaos was going on in an ambulance with the sirens. I'm like, why are there sirens? I swear this isn't that bad. My body's just stunned. I'm not paralyzed. I'm fine. But again, after each time of me feeling like I needed to sleep, they became more and more concerned. And again, the panic started to set in.
That, so freaking powerful, the way that she says that. And I meant to actually clarify before that I took 2 clips and I put them together, as you could hear the little whoosh sound. So the first one was right after she had fallen and she was on her back and her coach was saying, get up, come watch, let's see what you did, and then she can go back and try again. The coach was saying, get up. And the second time was when she was obviously in the ambulance going to the hospital. So those were the 2 really powerful moments that I picked from that episode to kind of demonstrate just how much emotion and how powerful the episode is, and that you should 100% go and listen to it, because it will answer all of your questions and you'll be able to come into the episode that Mary and I do with a very good understanding of what Taylor's story is. Incredible.
Yeah, and I do recommend it too. I mean, some people may even listen to it after, but it answers all those questions that we very specifically stayed away from. And although I hadn't heard her story, you had, so we were able to pivot and stay on the topic of being in your 20s and the topics we get into, what her life is now, her journey, her goals. So yeah, I just highly recommend that people listen to it, because it'll give you a really good insight before you hear us.
Yeah. So then some of the things that we talk about with her in the episode, we get into, first we talk about what her life was as a gymnast before the accident. So what does that mean to be training every single day for 10 years? We also talk about, obviously, she touches on the accident. She gives you a brief backstory of the accidents, but if you want more in depth, obviously go listen to that episode.
Yeah.
And then we talk about the pivots that she had to make after the accident, as in going back to school, going to a real high school, because before she was going to a special high school for gifted athletes, and she was supposed, for her like middle school experience, she was supposed to go to a normal high school anyway, but it just so happened that that was at the same time as her accident. So she's switching from this school with 3 other kids to the school with 1,600 other kids, like, while she is also mentally and physically having that battle of
re-identifying herself
in a wheelchair. Re-identifying, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get into all the stuff that we want to know about. Dating. What's
babies.
it like dating in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Babies. What's it like having babies in a wheelchair? Like,
yeah.
all of this stuff.
My biggest takeaway from our episode was obviously dating, online dating. Bridget and I have both dabbled in our online apps and...
Dabbled is an understatement.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes,
just kidding.
Yes, bartender Matt, I'm off mine now.
Bartender Matt was actually met on a dating app.
He was, yeah. So we really wanted to get into that topic with her. And then this conversation about consent, which, like, so stupid that I didn't think about this before. But her, like, she says a moment in our episode of, when I get out of that chair, I'm trusting you with my life. And in this, like, this new age of, you know, women really understanding the power they hold and consent, hearing her talk about it, I was like, holy shit. Like, it
adds a whole other layer to an already big topic.
I think about the moments that as a woman, I don't feel safe. Like, literally, I was going to go for a run this morning. I looked outside, I was like, it's kind of foggy and I'm in Brampton. Like, I don't know this town. And so I was like, I'm not going to go for a run. Because literally in my head, I'm like, what if I get jumped? Which has never happened to me, but it's just, it's how you think. And so I just think about, like, her day to day, especially with dating, and we get into it, those moments that she's like, I can't because I'll feel unsafe. She will be. Yeah, just, it blew open that idea where I was like, oh yeah, that dating and relationships and intimacy it's a non-starter if there isn't consent and communication. And in this world where we're trying to teach that to men and women and all of the humans, and how to navigate that world, it's very interesting from the perspective of someone who's like, it's non-negotiable. We don't get to have this conversation of like, yeah, is consent sexy? Or like, you know, like all these like heavy conversations we get in. And with her, it's just like, it has to be done. And she talks to them, a lot of her potential boyfriends, before she even goes on a date with them. Even before date 1, she's like, where are we at with this? Because there are people who have gross fetishes, and she's had scary situations happen to her before. So yeah, that was the most, which she talked about, but that was the most like impactful moment for me.
Yeah. And I feel like she also talks about intimacy and about consent during intimacy, but also how she develops how her relationships are different because sex isn't the first thing that they think about. Like it's the same for many people, but some people it is like, you know, they just want to have sex and then they start dating or whatever. But she talks about how that's not at the forefront and they build such a deep bond before those intimate moments. And it was a question that I had, like, how does that work and all this stuff? And she gets into that. She's so open about it. Yeah. And yep, go for it.
And we learned about, I'm going to forget the word now, but the type of people who fetishize quadriplegics.
I don't remember.
I know this is wrong. I want to say doogies, but that's not right. They're not called doogies.
They're not called doogies, Mary. It reminded me of the word amputees.
Oh, devotees.
That's it. Devotees.
Nice.
Yeah,
Together.
Those are people who fetishize people in wheelchairs, and Taylor's had to deal with a whole lot of them and really has to vet the people that she goes on dates with to make sure that they're not those type of people. And she talks about like how she always has one of her nurses, you know, come on the date with her, but they don't, the person that she's dating doesn't know.
Yeah. It's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's great. And we also get into what's it going to be like. She wants to be a mother. She's always wanted to be a mother. How does that work? How does that work if you can't, you know, physically pick up your baby? How does that work if you can't physically give birth? Like, do you want to be pregnant? Do you not want to be pregnant? We get into all that stuff. Freezing your eggs. All the good late 20s things that we all have to talk about all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then,
she's super knowledgeable.
She's so knowledgeable.
The
about all that
freezing,
stuff. And surrogacy, egg freezing. I didn't know any of this about egg freezing. Apparently, it's like you're having like 32 periods at once. Insanity.
Sounds terrifying.
Yes. And then we get into what has been her, her endeavor for the past few years, which is Cup of Tea, her tea company, which is like a luxury tea brand. It's incredible. If you look at the website, during the podcast episode, Mary goes on the website and is just absolutely raving about it. Like
I ordered on
you ordered. Yeah, it was just like the most. Oops. Sorry, I hit my desk. It was just the most amazing company. So much thought has gone into it. She's developed it. She developed it from scratch. She talks about how, like, she didn't go to school for business, and I know that she didn't go to school for business because we went to school together, and I didn't go to school for business. So, but we did have a class called which we kind of talk about, business of media production, which nobody thrived in because none of us really understood our futures at that point and why we should pay attention.
But
to
go back to
her
one
first
of those
thought.
courses,
Yeah, her thought was, she started from the beginning. Her first Google was how to legally sell tea in Canada, and Google has just been what's taught her to create this super successful company to the point where she is right now, which is, on Oprah's favorite things list. She's going to be in, you got to listen to the episode, but, like, her tea is going to be, like, Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber are sipping her tea. Just saying.
Yeah. There's the little nugget for you, and available at Chapters and Indigo. Like she is killing it, and I will say the tea is very, very delicious.
I was gonna ask for your review of the tea. I purposely haven't yet.
The peppermint is phenomenal, and I made some for my mom, and I told Taylor's story over a cup of tea. And yes, and she loved it too. She thought it was very, very delicious. The cup is gorgeous. The brand is gorgeous. Her marketing is insanely good. And I wanted everything that was on that website, which is rare for me. I'm normally like, yeah, that'd be nice. I'm over it. But yeah, she's killed it. She's done such a good job. Yeah. Yeah. And,
Mary and I, having recently started up this other company called Collective Creations Event Management, which I can see Mary's all excited to talk about. We understand on a deep level like how much work has gone into her website, her branding, her literally everything had thought put into it, the product, everything, and the marketing, and oh my gosh, I could talk about it forever. But it's just like so well-rounded.
Yeah, and we touch base on it, but everyone, if you can go and Google it, her logo itself has so much thought put into it. Like the fine detail behind that logo, as people who have just gone through this, it's insane. Like, I don't have that attention to detail at all.
Yeah, no, but it's the reasoning behind her logo is that she wanted to have like hidden gems in it, so every time you look at it you see something else. So like the U is a cup and the E is a leaf, and like all this like fun little hidden parts of it, little Easter eggs throughout the whole thing.
No, she's done such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, but definitely listen to her episode next week. We get into all the stuff that you would probably meet Taylor and you'd be like, okay, I really want to ask about this, but I probably shouldn't. We ask about it. So so listen to the episode. You're going to love it. It's a long one, but it's like it encapsulates you, and you can listen to it in 2 parts if you want. I don't care what you do, but you gotta listen to it.
You do you, boo. You do you.
You do you, boo. But speaking of companies, Mary, something very exciting has happened in your world and my world over the past 2 days.
Our world.
Why don't you take the lead on this?
So Collective Creations, people have heard us talk about it. Some of you already know what it is, but it's an event company that I started years ago, and never, I did everything for free because that's what you do when you start something so small. And Yeah, like
Also, when you're a student, and like we've all done our fair share of free work.
Yes. And I had no attachment to it, really. Like, I did it because I had contracts and I needed to have the business to, send invoices and stuff like that. But I had a website that like I wouldn't send to people, and I didn't put on my resume, and I did not want to show off. So during the past few months, Bridget, her sister, and I, and our team has also been really helpful, but you and your sister have definitely made this something that, like, I woke up today so excited because we launched it yesterday. All the advertising is going out today. So anyone
if we can
listening,
figure out Facebook, because Facebook sucks.
Sucks. Yeah. We'll get it out. We'll pivot, as they say.
We will pivot.
But yeah, so it just looks so good, and
it really does.
It's like things are selling even before the website was up. Like, the company is moving, I think, in a great direction, and we didn't even have like proper advertising out yet. So I'm just really excited to see what it does that now that it has this like beautiful face to it. And I was talking to my mom about this the other day, where I was like, it's just this weird, perfect moment where like everyone involved is so good at what they do, and they're so willing and ready to do it just like that. And like things that normally I had roadblocks and roadblocks and roadblocks if I ever tried to go through something like this, I clearly didn't have like the time and awareness to really dedicate to making this work before. But now it's just been this thing. And like yesterday I go on and I Google my thing and it pulls up, and I was just like, this is so good. It's pretty
real.
And I want to tell everyone about it. Whereas last time I built a website and I was like, yeah, I have a website, but like, don't go there. Which was so like useless. What a waste of my time. So yeah, it's just been a lot of work, more than I understood, and a lot of long days and late nights and early mornings. And I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for your sister, because we talk about it with Taylor, how like she's like a really good delegator, and she's like really good at, telling other people her vision, and then they pull it together. And I related to that because I was like, yeah, I had ideas in my head, but I was like, I don't know if these are possible. I don't know if that works. I don't know if this makes any sense. And then like I would ask you to do something, and then you like come up with something that's just like 10 times better. And I'm like, I didn't even know Bridget could do that. Oh my God, this looks amazing. And like, again, it's just like, there's a pride to it to like want to share it more. And in the world of social media, that was what I wanted. I didn't want a brand that was like, oh, I've relaunched my company and now you need to go look at all the things. Like, that's everyone and their dog is doing that online these days.
Can you give me a visual example of what that looks like? Oh, I've relaunched my company, and I need you to go look at all the things. What does that look like?
I just find like, because everyone has websites now and everyone has like a small business, like everyone's a yoga instructor, and now everyone's going to become, I don't know what I came up with the other day. I was like, that's the new yoga instructor. Anyway, I find everyone has that, and everyone has a brand. And in the world of influencers and digital marketing, it's so saturated. And so even just having a business starting to work before having it online like that was really helpful, because it was like, I feel, no offense to influencers, I felt more legit. I'm not just an influencer who's trying to look good on social media or make money via digital marketing.
You could also go in with the confidence, knowing that it works, like knowing that the company is working. So when you're paying to get all this stuff done, to get photo shoots, to get websites, to get digital media and all that stuff up and running, you're like, okay, but this is all going to go back into the company because it's working.
It's working. Yeah, I don't have to like wait and launch it and be like, hopefully people buy this now. We're moving and grooving, and stuff is just like kind of falling into place. And there's still like hard, terrifying moments, which is like a whole other conversation and episode about that. But having constant fear, like, what the hell am I doing? Just go get a job with a salary and benefits and like maybe a retirement plan. That'd be really great. But it's not me, it's not who I am. So go forward with this. Let's 100% commit. And again, I just, like I said to my mom, the stars have just aligned, and you and I working together, like we started talking 20, not sure if we would work well together because there was a really good chance that there was going to be like
we wouldn't.
and an implosion of some kind.
We both like tiptoed into this. Like, is this a good idea?
Let's
see. Okay, it's working. Okay, it's working. All right, full blown. Let's do a company.
Let's do it. Yeah, and it's just like so. And now I work with other people, and I'm like, ugh, I'll just talk to Bridget because it's literally like we're yin and yang, and we get each other. I was saying that to someone the other day about, I was like, yeah, like Kate's doing the web design. She's so good. Like I literally just sent her a Google Doc and now it's like a website. It's there. It looks amazing. And I was like, but then I hit a point where like, I felt like I had to translate through Bridget because there were so many moving pieces that like Kate doesn't care about. She's just making the website. But I'm like, I don't know. There's this and blah, blah, blah. And you get me. Like I can ramble and talk and you're like, okay, so I'm going to filter this down. I'm going to distill it a little bit. And I'm going to tell
Kate what you need.
Exactly. So I'd call you. I'd be like, hey, so I'm going to talk to Kate. You'd be like, I already did it. It's done. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So yeah, just like it's worked so beautifully. Yeah. I'm so excited for it. I'm so proud of it. And yeah, it's up. It's official. It's a real, it was a real company last week.
Get ready to be bombarded with posts today about our new website because we're really stoked about it. Content. And we're really excited to see, how it blows up. If you need a wedding coordinator, let our website speak for itself.
Also, Christmas parties. We're getting a lot of inquiries.
Christmas parties.
We do special events as well. And we're getting inquiries about those.
Oh, are we? Wonderful. Look at that. Oh, that's great. That's super exciting. So yeah, we'll wrap this up. Well, it's still young. So next week, definitely make sure to listen to Taylor's episode. It is incredible. You're going to come out feeling the same way I do about her, that she's just the most amazing woman that you will ever hear of. I don't think there's anybody else in the world who is more amazing than this woman. So check her out. Also, there's something that we're doing alongside of the episode. Do we want to talk about that?
We are, sure, I don't care. We're doing a giveaway.
Woo! We're going to do a giveaway with Taylor's tea, Mary. So what are we giving away?
We are giving away a Talking 20 mug, and not the mug you've seen. We actually have some more branding coming out.
It's looking really
Date
good.
Undetermined because we're busy. So back off.
But by next week, because that's when we're starting the giveaway. Hopefully.
It's happening. So yeah, we're doing a giveaway with a new Talking 20 merch and a cup of tea mug and some cups of tea, some of her actual tea. So we're going to do a little partnership with her and perfect Christmas gift, guys. Like absolutely perfect Christmas gift for anyone. Stocking stuffers.
It's an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that box and opening it, it's an experience.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I got one. I loved it. We'll show that on social media. I'm very proud of my cup of tea.
Yeah, great. So listen next week. It'll be coming out on Friday. Stay tuned. I'm excited to reach Taylor's audience and have them, learn about a new side of her and learn about her whole story. I'm so excited to get this episode out. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one.
Last thing, follow her because she's got a lot of cool projects and things coming out soon.
Yes. Yeah. Follow her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Have a good day.
Bye.